Hey everyone, welcome to The Alternates, a basketball show for the others where we like to showcase independent music and discuss all things basketball. We've got a very, very fun show lined up for you today. We're going to be checking out the headliners, poking our heads into the Underground Network. It's been a little while since we've visited the Underground Network. Yeah. We'll be checking out Out of Step, our NBA relegation segment. And then, of course, it is Tuesday, which means we are picking our duo jams for the week. All that and more coming up after this song. What do you got for us, Clayton?
All right, I got a song called Concrete by Hank Wood and the Hammerheads. This is on the self-titled LP that came out on Toxic State Records in 2018.
Awesome. What is up, y'all? Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. We, of course, are The Alternates. I am your host, Brian Cullen, and with me, as always, is everyone's favorite pedal peddler, Clayton Stevens.
Fair.
Good to see you, Clayton.
Good to see you.
Thank you all for joining us. Before we jump into the first segment, just want to take a quick second, ask you to subscribe to the channel on YouTube if you have not done so yet already. That is at youtube.com/thealternates. And go ahead and like the video. Give us a thumbs up. It boosts the ego. It helps us get out of the morning.
Yeah.
Get out of the morning in bed.
Yeah.
Clearly nobody has liked the video lately because I have not woken up yet. And then if you're not catching the show on YouTube, wherever you're catching it as a podcast, remember to hit subscribe so you can stay up to date with all things alternate. And if that platform that you are listening to this show on has a rating and review option, go ahead and leave us with one of those.
Yeah.
We're just getting that ego boost from anywhere that we can possibly get it.
I love that serotonin.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. This has nothing to do with the algorithms. This just has to do with us wanting to feel validated and good about ourselves. Yeah. If you want to get a hold of us, you can do so by emailing thealternateshoop@gmail.com. You can go ahead and follow the show on TikTok. I said it correctly this time, at The Alternates NBA, or you can just leave a comment in the video and we will get back to you right away. I'm monitoring those 24/7, waiting for somebody to reach out of the void and talk to me.
Yeah, reach out.
Reach out and talk to me, please. Anyways, how are you doing?
I'm well. Look, I'll do a little quick shameless self-promotion. I got a tour coming up.
Ooh, let's hear about it.
Touche Amore, the band I'm in, we are hitting the road, hitting the United States, a little bit of Canada, and so you can check out all those dates, toucheamore.com/tour. That has all the ticket links and all that stuff too.
Amazing.
So if I'm coming out to your city, let me know.
Let me ask you this. When you're on tour during the season, how are you staying up to date with games? Or are you just kind of like, this isn't the time, I'm not following the league right now?
No, I'm still addicted. I usually got the computer out in the green room, league pass up.
Okay.
Just flipping through games. The merch guy for us on this run, his name's Mac. He's a huge Timberwolves fan. If you run into Mac, you can talk about the Timberwolves. Our sound guy, he's a big Cavs fan. So there's a little basketball in the touring party.
All right. So you won't miss me that much then.
No, I won't miss you at all.
Do you ever have like a game up on your phone on the stage? If you're playing during a big game, is that ever an option?
Look, I don't want to admit that I may have done that once or twice. Especially when it comes to my Dodgers.
Okay.
Baseball, a little easier to follow too.
Fair enough.
Right. And there's been a couple tours where we've toured with bands, and during the playoffs, like they have it side stage, and I'm kind of peeking over to the side, seeing where the score is at and all that stuff.
Totally fair.
It's part of life, but no.
I only ask because I relate to that, because I have been at band practice, like obviously different than being at a show or on tour, but I've been at band practice where we're writing songs and I have my phone propped up on the amp with the game on, and I'll miss whatever's. I'll have to go, okay, I'm sorry, what was that part that you guys just wrote? Because that was insane what I just watched. But yeah, I get that.
And I'll in the van sometimes too, I'll throw it up on my phone, stuff like that. So yeah, I'll be keeping up, and it's so easy these days to, even once the show's over, unwind and put my headphones in, catch up on the games a little bit. So I'll be keeping up with the NBA and stuff. But anyone out there, if you're coming out to a show, please reach out and let me know, and we can talk basketball or talk music or whatever, and I just appreciate it. So.
I love that. Okay, incredible. Well, we're gonna miss you around here while you're gone. It's going to be some big shoes to fill, but we will have some guests coming in while you are on the road.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, and I'm going to check in sometimes, and we'll do some fun stuff.
Absolutely. Okay, well, while you're still here, let's jump into headliners.
Let's do it. Love it.
So we've got some headlines here. We'll get some takes on it, see what's going on, grabbed a few. We're going to start with one of my favorite teams in the league, the Orlando Magic.
Predictable.
Yeah. It's becoming a formula now. But so Markelle Fultz is returning to action after being sidelined with an ACL injury for 13 months. It's been over a year since he's played basketball. I'm excited about this. I still am holding out hope that Markelle Fultz is going to be a guy that he has a future in this league. It has been a very, very shaky start to his career, but I'm still holding out hope. What is your take on Fultz's return here?
Look, this is a great story for Markelle, right? And someone that I think a lot of us are rooting for, because, to have that kind of talent and to show what he showed at an early age, very special. Very few people have done what he did at the college level, at the 18 and under level, just all kinds of great stuff.
Yeah.
Got to the NBA, obviously has had a tough time, and he did play enough to get himself a contract extension, right? So it's been so long that I think we should probably bring this up again. He got a 3-year, $50 million extension in December 2020. That was coming off a season where he was averaging 14 points a game, 3 rebounds, 6 assists. So he was looking like a serviceable guard in this league.
Yeah.
The problem is the Orlando Magic, right? Because they just drafted Jalen Suggs. Cole Anthony seems to be cemented as part of the team, at least for now. Franz Wagner has shown a lot this season. There's just not a clear spot for him.
That's fair. Yeah.
So that worries me for his return. But look, I mean, if he can come back and, get anywhere near those numbers, it's not a crazy deal that he signed. I think someone might be willing to take a risk on him in the summer. Let's just hope the Magic want to work with him, let him play, let him see what he can do, and maybe the Magic aren't his team long term, but he can play himself onto another team.
Yeah, and look, in his first game back, clear minutes restriction. There's rust to be removed.
And they did the right thing here, by the way, letting him wait 13 months.
100%.
It's too important. This is probably the final real chance he's going to get to prove himself as a mainstay of the NBA. So good on them for doing it the right way. And, it's not his fault that they drafted Jalen Suggs, but it is what it is, right?
Definitely.
So he's going to have to accept that role.
Yeah, I think the next offseason is going to be very interesting to see how he is handled by the Magic and what they see moving forward with or without him.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to another star guard in this league, and that is Ja Morant. Sets a Grizzlies franchise single-game scoring record with 46 points in a win over the Bulls.
Jesus Christ.
He went nuts. Absolutely nuts. So this is obviously a franchise record, which clearly makes it a personal career record for him as well.
Yeah.
Let me hear it, because I know how much you love Ja. Yeah, I know how much you love the Grizzlies.
Love Ja, love the Grizzlies. To technically his career high. He did have a 47-point game versus Utah in the playoffs last season.
Yeah.
And, I brought that up because he had a quote the week before that game, and people were going nuts about it, where he said, "I'm a top 5 point guard." And people were like,
right.
"What? You're not a top 5 point guard?" Goes out, drops 47 in a loss, to be fair, in a loss to Utah, but shows like, holy shit, this guy. And then comes in this season and just proves that was no fluke. This is who he is now. This is just another notch on his belt. He's going to have a 50-point game at some point, because in his recent scoring surge, he's not even shooting the three that well.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he's going to have a game where he's doing all this and shooting the three ball super well, and he's going to have a 50-point game. And to do it versus, high quality opponent like the Bulls, amazing. And he was doing it down the stretch.
I don't know what's more impressive, the 46 points or that like 360 layup.
The 360.
Yeah.
The 360.
That was unreal to do that in a basketball game, NBA game.
He is right now the best, like falling down, falling a weird way, falling off his offhand, off foot shot maker. It was Kyrie for years. It's clearly Ja Morant now.
Yeah.
Right?
Could not agree more. He is just unreal. And I think you're right. This is just the beginning. There will be a 50-point game.
Yeah. Like I said, the 3-point shooting is getting better for him every year. Like, I don't think he's ever going to be a 10 threes a game guy or something like that. He doesn't need to with what he has, but he shoots it well enough to very confidently say he's going to have more than one 50-point game in his career.
Agreed.
And it's going to come because of a game like this combined with those crazy, the team itself shoots a crazy amount of threes.
Right.
He's going to have a hot game.
Right. All right. The next storyline comes from Sam Amick.
You never want his name around you.
No.
Let me tell you something. You see Sam Amick's name, it's usually bad.
When I saw this, I just saw Sam Amick, and then it was about the Nuggets, and I was like, no. Things are terrible in Denver. But it's actually a good news article.
A rare Sam Amick non-hit piece.
Yeah, so it's a hit piece for the rest of the league, because he's reporting that Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. look like they're going to return to the lineup in time for the playoffs. Now, Porter looks like he could be returning this month. That was the initial report. But the team still seems very hopeful that they will get Jamal Murray by the playoffs, if not before. How scared does this make you if you're a team in the West?
That, if they're staying in the 6 seed, that 3 seed is dangerous.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they are one of the scariest 6 seeds we've ever seen. I think if they get those two guys back, those guys have shown plenty in the playoffs as well. Porter a little less so, but Murray, I mean, he's been an all-time playoff performer when he's gotten there. So yeah, I mean, this could change everything for them. And most importantly, this has been Jokic's best season after he won the MVP last year. And you're going to be adding more. Not forget Jamal Murray's ability to break guys down off the dribble and all that. Just 2 incredible shooters.
Yep.
That's what you're getting back, first and foremost.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, right? Is with Jokic playing at this level, you don't necessarily need either of those guys to be 100% for this team to be terrifying.
Catch and shoot. And both of those guys are phenomenal catch and shoot players.
Yeah. And if you've got Jokic passing out of the post to those guys, it's going to be so hard to stop.
Dude, that pass he had the other day where he was in the block
unreal.
And he hit it to the corner, it looked impossible. Like, the physics of it don't look real. He's putting like spin on it. It just, he's playing at another level.
Yeah, he's been unreal.
Yeah, so very scary news for the rest of the league. They are going to be the team that everybody is dodging for playoff seeding, and getting to that 2 seed is going to be very important, and the Warriors need to keep winning games to stay out of that, because that's scary for them.
And they've been very up and down. So
very.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll see. Okay. Last headline here. We're going to talk about James Harden. I know that we've done a lot of talking about James Harden. This one's about basketball, though. This is so exciting.
Yes.
This is the first time I feel like we're getting to talk about him in terms of on-court production. So he becomes the first player in NBA history to put up at least 25 points and 10 assists in each of his first 2 games with a team. So in the first game against the Wolves, he put up 27, 8, and 12. in the second game against the Knicks, 29, 10, 16, and 5 steals. That's a Sixers record. Nobody's ever done that stat line before.
I mean, it's insane.
So I guess my question here is, how fucking crazy is this? And what does this mean for the Sixers moving forward?
It means a lot for the Sixers moving forward if this is the James Harden they're getting, right? Because that hamstring looks pretty good. That hand looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Didn't appear to have any physical ailments. And he and Embiid look like quite a combination. While I'm talking here, I don't know if you want to pull up Embiid's stats over those last 2 games, but he has been on an absolute tear. It seems like, putting the ball in James Harden's hands, it creates a spot for the defense where they have to make a decision, right? And he always is putting that pressure on you with his shooting and his ability to drive. And, you always want to double team him right away. And Joel Embiid seems to be benefiting from that really quickly by having less post-ups, getting downhill super fast, getting fouled like crazy, getting to the free throw line. So, I think we expected him, those two to work off of each other, but now seeing it and seeing how much downhill action Joel Embiid is getting, it's scary.
Yeah, in those 2 games, Embiid has averaged 35.5 points, 9.5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks.
Right. So they're asking him to make it they don't need him to enhance his teammates as much. You're going to get easier shots.
Yeah.
You're going to get action going to the basket all the time. Let James give you the ball, and you're going to get easy points and free throws constantly. And as we've seen, this team, I think, is going to set free throw records.
The most interesting thing about this, as you're saying, him kind of moving and attacking a little more, in those 2 games, he's averaging 20 free throw
20
attempts.
free throws attempts. I mean, that's 20 points. It's 20 free points.
And he's shooting 85% from the line. That is...
Speaking of 50 points, Embiid is probably going to have a 50-point game
easily
with this duo, right?
Yeah, just off the line. He's going to
get 20 points there, and then, you can't double him the same because Harden's on the floor.
Yep.
It's just giving him so many easy opportunities, and it just seems like Embiid is just so happy that there's a guy who wants to play with him, wants to be on the team. We have seen with James Harden, though, the honeymoon period can be short, right?
Absolutely.
Like when he first came to the Nets...
Oh, yeah, it was unreal.
It was unbelievable. We were all just like, this is it. It's over.
Yeah.
Forget it. Hand them the title. So we will see moving forward, but the early returns, like the early returns in Brooklyn, are absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and getting him this close to the playoffs, maybe that honeymoon extends a little deeper into the playoffs than it has in the past.
Yeah, and I think they're just going to have to hope that Doc doesn't go away from these guys too much. I know Sixers fans are already like, why is he playing with a crazy all bench lineup? Because Doc likes to do that.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's
a whole nother episode where I will rant and rave about it, but let's move on.
Okay.
Let's get into the Underground Network.
Yeah.
I've got a guy here that I want to talk about. So before I even throw the name out there, I just want to say this season, he's averaging 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists a game.
Essentially a triple-double.
Yeah, he's averaging a near triple-double. Now, there are only a few players in this league that are averaging 20 or more points a game, 8 or more rebounds a game, and 8 or more assists a game.
Mm-hmm.
Luka Doncic, James Harden, Nikola Jokic, and this dude that I want to talk about, Dejounte Murray. Dejounte Murray is like the quintessential hipster basketball, hipster basketball guys love Dejounte Murray, right? He's the IPA of the NBA, okay? But
yeah,
he's not as disgusting as an IPA. But he needs to be a household name. Think about the other names that I just said. Luka Doncic, James Harden, Nikola Jokic. 2 of those guys have already won an MVP.
Yep.
Luka Doncic is primed to be, for the last 2 off seasons, he's been picked as a top 3 MVP pick for the upcoming season.
Yeah, I think we could safely say he's an MVP candidate every year he's in the league, basically.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Dejounte Murray needs to be in that conversation. If you're going to say that about Luka Doncic at this point, Dejounte Murray's name needs to be attached to that as well. Now, if we make it 9 or more assists a game, there's only one other guy who's doing it this season, and that's Jokic.
Oh my God.
who just won the MVP, is probably on track to win again. He's playing better than he did last season, and this guy is keeping up with him. It's unreal. Now, he's not playing a perfect game. His three-point shooting, it needs some work. He's okay at it, but he doesn't need to be. That's not his game. He is so good for this team.
Yeah.
And it's not just offensive. He's leading the league in steals per game at 2 steals a game.
That's what I love about him.
He's doing it on both sides of the ball.
Yes.
And he's in San Antonio, so it's not happening. And historically, San Antonio has been a very boring team to watch. It's so fundamental that it's just not exciting basketball. It led to a lot of winning, but it wasn't a very exciting product to watch. This team is fun, and it's being led by Dejounte Murray. And more people need to pay attention to what he's doing, because we're looking at a superstar in the making, a top 5 to 10 player in this league. And I feel like nobody is really talking about him currently.
Great point. Great Underground Network star, because like you're saying, this is going totally unnoticed. And to your point, this is not the same old Spurs.
No, it's not.
When you look at the age of this team, they have 2 guys who are a little older. They have Doug McDermott, who's 30, Josh Richardson, who's 28. The rest of their team is 26 and under. Now, forget that. 26, that's only Keita Bates-Diop and Jakob Poeltl. Outside of those 2 guys, everyone's 25 and younger. So this is not your same old Tim Duncan Spurs for 20 years playing slow fundamental basketball. This is 22-year-olds, 20-year-olds gunning out, running, getting better. You know, I mean, dude, like Lonnie Walker, this dude's a highlight reel.
Yes.
These are not boring players. These are guys with athleticism, youthfulness, just a really fun team to watch. I think what's holding them back besides the small market, obviously, is the team record, right? Like they're around 13 games under 500.
Yeah.
But they're competitive night to night. And actually, I think I saw someone on Twitter, I think it was Nikias, who's a great follow, said that they're 13 games under 500. They have a positive net rating. 13 games under 500.
Yeah.
That's what shows you they are competitive night to night. They're a really good product. And I love who they have around Dejounte Murray too.
Yes.
Like, I'm a huge Devin Vassell guy. I think he's going to be a great shooting guard in this league. He's a very plus shooter. He's shooting average from 3 this season as a rookie, but I think that's going to tick up. He's going to be a 40% shooter for his career. And, they have Josh Primo on their team, which we don't know much about Josh Primo.
Right.
You know what we do know? He's the youngest player in the NBA.
That's crazy.
He's 19 until December 24th of 2022.
Wow.
He was the youngest player in college. He's the youngest player in the NBA. He's 6'6". And the fact that the Spurs took him and they have all these players, they had to ship out Derek White because they needed to give more minutes to guys like Devin Vassell.
Yeah.
Like, they shipped out a good player. It just tells me like there's something there with this guy too. And this young core is really exciting, and it could be even more exciting going forward with Dejounte Murray, and who knows?
So I'm glad that you left it there, because that is the other thing that I think needs to be looked at with this team that isn't really being discussed is, yes, they're very young. They also cleared a ton of cap space. Now, Dejounte Murray, as we're outlining here, I think is a number 1 option on this team. On a team, I think is a number 1 option. Look, his company is Luka, Harden, Jokic, okay?
All clear number 1s.
Whatever you feel about Harden, he's at least a 1A or 1B guy. So I think right now, the floor for Dejounte Murray is a 1B.
Yeah.
He is playing that well. I think that it is easier with cap space and assets to put together a supporting cast around a 1A or 1B guy than it is to have a great team full of role players and you need to go find that 1A or 1B guy.
Yeah.
So they have the hardest piece of the puzzle. They've got the most difficult piece of the puzzle figured out. Now they've got money and assets to either sign guys in the offseason, not easy to do when you're in San Antonio.
But
right?
they've had a little bit of luck with that.
Pop brings guys in. I think there's enough respect there. I think enough people, at least in the league, will be paying attention to Dejounte Murray and what's happening there.
He's very liked. He's very liked. Yeah.
And I think that they have primed themselves to not only be able to take that route to putting together a contending team, but with these assets, they have all these draft picks now. They could go the draft route. They could go get a 1B or 1A or whatever, or a 2 to Dejounte Murray through there, or they still have the money, the space, and these assets to wait until there's a disgruntled star that wants to go somewhere, right? Like you might be looking at LA with everything that's going on with the Lakers. If LeBron leaves and they decide to kind of blow this thing up, maybe they take a look at Anthony Davis and they say, hey, let's get an elite big to put with Dejounte Murray, and let's see what that looks like. I don't think Zion is necessarily their kind of guy, but maybe something is there, right? Like they have put themselves in a position to move forward in any direction that they want to, and all directions lead to improvement. It is they are in the best spot a young building team could possibly be in.
I couldn't agree with you more because, like you said, they could go out and get Anthony Davis because they have all these young guys like Keldon Johnson, Lonnie Walker that are really good role players already, and with ability to get better. You know, Keldon Johnson's 22.
And we should say, this is not saying that Anthony Davis is moving on from the Lakers, but this is just a potential, something like this.
Or that you could trade him for Keldon Johnson, but Keldon Johnson plus picks plus other stuff, like that is the type of package that gets you these type of players.
Yeah.
Let alone, like you said, the draft. Maybe they love Chet Holmgren.
Yeah.
Maybe they love Paolo Banchero. Maybe they've got their eye set and they can go out and trade a couple players and picks to move up to get the guy that they think is going to pair with Dejounte Murray long term.
Yeah.
That's really exciting if you're a Spurs fan.
Yeah, and all these roads are viable. That's the craziest thing to me is a lot of teams put themselves in a position where it's like, we can only go this direction to get better. This is a crazy instance where no matter what direction they move in, they are going to make this team better around a superstar. I'm going to call Dejounte Murray a superstar with what he's doing. So the future is so bright in San Antonio, and it's so bright that it's crazy to me that nobody's talking about it right now.
Perfect Underground Network segment.
All right. Well, let's take a look at the rest of this league and Out of Step. Out of Step is our relegation segment. We have here the list of teams since the last time that we have done this. They're put in alphabetical order. There's no other order in which they're put. This isn't a rankings with how they're listed out, but this is where we left them in the three leagues. You've got the NBA, the T League, and the Clamato League. And this is where they landed last time they did it. Now, since the last time we did it, there was a break. There was a week-long All-Star break. There haven't been a ton of games played. But I think that we should just kind of take a look and maybe look at potential movers in this.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
So let's start in the NBA.
Okay.
Last time we left this off, the teams that were in the NBA are the Bucks, Bulls, Cavs, Celtics, Grizzlies, Heat, Mavs, Sixers, Suns, and Warriors. Is there anybody in the NBA that you see having potential to move down?
So last time we did this, I said I thought the Bulls were going to move down. And so I don't have the Bulls moving down, but I just want to let it be known I was wrong. The Bulls are good. You know, DeRozan's done enough. Plenty enough. And despite anything that happens to them, it seems like they just keep winning, you know, keep up at a good pace to keep them up near the top of the Eastern Conference. I've got the Bulls super safe, but I just wanted it to be known, like, I said they were going to move out. They're not moving out. They're very firmly in there. Is there anyone that you have moving out?
Okay, so I've got my eye on a team here, but it's because there's somebody I could see possibly usurping them in relegation.
Yeah. Okay, let's move to the T League.
Yes.
Then. Okay.
So in the T League, I will explain this. So the T League is made up of Blazers, Clippers, Hawks, Hornets, Jazz, Kings, Lakers, Nets, Nuggets, Pelicans, Raptors, Spurs, Wolves, Wizards. Got that out. Okay.
Yeah.
The team I see here with the most potential to move up is the Nuggets. We just talked about in Headliners how terrifying this team can be if they get those two guys back, and Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray. If that happens, and if it happens this month, I think that they are immediately better than the Mavs. Now, the Mavs have been good. I'm not discrediting the Mavs. The reason why I see this swap happening is Luka is unreal. Jokic is unreal. Let's take those two off the team. Who on the Mavs is better than Michael Porter Jr. or Jamal Murray?
Individual talent-wise, I don't think there's anybody you could say. So I think that's a very good point. The Mavs, what they're doing, they're kind of the last team in the NBA left that is doing this, what people were calling the heliocentric offense, right? Like it's all built around one guy and everyone else is just trying to make him better.
Yeah.
And so they have a lot of pieces that can do that can get super duper hot from three. So, I'm with you. The Nuggets have more options to get better because if something's not working, you can go to something else. If something's not working, you can go to something else. You can try different things. And so that gives you some more upward mobility. But I think the Mavs have earned their place right now as the heliocentric thing is working. Bertans is playing a lot better than he was.
The Bertanaissance
is here. And, Dinwiddie, it looks like he might be playing okay. We'll see, right? Like, so, yeah, I have them in, but I think that's a very good point that with Porter returning, with these guys returning, the Nuggets easily could be moving up here.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about Aaron Gordon, who is another piece to that puzzle for the Nuggets that makes them so good.
Another versatile piece, right? Like we're talking about, like he's another piece of that versatile ecosystem that they have, as opposed to the Mavs, who, they have a great ecosystem, but it's built around one thing.
Exactly. Okay, I think it's safe to say there's nobody else right now in the T League that might be looking at a potential move upwards.
Right.
Except maybe the Clippers if they get Paul George, Kawhi back, which is just a ton of non-news coming out from LA around those two guys. Yeah. Is there anybody here that you see with the potential of moving down, going down to the lowly C League out of the T League?
The Blazers stick out to me.
Okay.
Right? They went on that really fun 4-game winning streak, and your guy, Kaiser Cronin, just cried and was furious.
He's trying so hard to teach them the Kaiser limp walk, and they just keep running.
Anything to make this team lose. So Nurkic, you're out of here. So they've started to lose some games. I think that trend is probably going to continue.
Yeah, it was a bit of a Cinderella story.
I
think the pumpkin is starting to show itself.
But I have them staying in.
Okay.
Right now, but they are a team that is sticking out to me as could be moving down. And of course, alongside with them, the Lakers, right? I mean, every time that they get a test, a good team, an important game in the standings, a national TV game, they just fail. Every time. Yeah. Every time. I was at the Clippers-Lakers game on Friday.
Wow, humble brag.
And it was... The Lakers fans, they don't like this
team. They're bummed. And understandably so.
And look, I was wearing my throwback Clippers jacket. I thought I was going to get a bunch of shit, and they were like, oh, no, you guys are better. They were just like, nah, whatever.
That's very depressing to hear, honestly.
It really, they weren't even mad at us at all for being there, super clippered out. And I just got to say this, because it was killing my friend Casey and I laughing there. There's a guy next to us who every time Westbrook got the ball, he would just very loudly, very plainly go, pass it. Pass it.
Hey, man.
It was killing all of us and all the Lakers fans around us.
He needs those 10 assists. He's encourage a triple-double. That's all that guy's doing.
I mean, it's just that I don't have anybody moving out of the C League to put them in there, but they're playing like shit.
That's fair. I've got kind of it might be a bit of a hot pick here, but somebody that I'm watching that I think still has the potential, and they've been better as of late, but I still have my eyes on the Nets. So let me explain why, because I know people are going to go, that's fucking crazy. They're playing better. They probably have more potential for the NBA than the C League at this point. But the Nets are still without Durant. Now they're saying it looks like he might come back in the next week or so, which if that happens, I think changes a lot. But there could be setbacks. There could be setbacks that isn't guaranteed. And then, of course, their acquisition, Ben Simmons, has just had his own setback with back soreness. We don't know what his return table is to come back. So I think that adds to some of my skepticism here. And as we talked about in a I think it was the last episode, it now looks like New York is in fact removing the vaccine mandate. However, the NBA and the Nets are privatized corporations that can set their own standards and mandates. Right. And it doesn't sound like they are going to change their stance on this right away. So with a very home-heavy schedule that the Nets are about to find themselves in, there is still a large potential that Kyrie Irving will not be playing for the team for most of these games, which I think could potentially put them back into the C League watch territory?
I think that's a good point. They have a lot of volatility, right? Like we've seen with the Sixers, it seems like they've stabilized as a result of this trade.
Right.
Whereas the Nets, we haven't seen it. We don't know yet. And so that volatility leaves them TC, NBA. I mean, they really could be any of those.
Yeah.
It is pretty amazing considering their roster that they could be in any of these leagues right now.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, they have the ability to move up, move down. They're a very interesting watch going forward. And the Ben Simmons watch is definitely on.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Time to dip our toes in the Clamato. So here we've got the Knicks, Magic, Pacers, Pistons, Rockets, and Thunder. Any one of these teams standing out to you with potential to move up and into the T League?
So not potential to move up. I'll be clear about that from the jump. These teams, they like being in the C League. A lot of these teams.
Fair.
But if you're going to pick a C League team to watch, or you're looking through League Pass, and these teams are essentially the only ones playing. I like the Pistons as a watch. You watch them, they have, compared to the Rockets or the Magic, they just have an actual style of play and just a professionalism about the way that they play.
Yeah.
That just makes them an entertaining product. Like, obviously, this is coming off, they have a couple nice wins recently. So that's me saying that. But it is because of just the way they play. Even in the games they lose, they're competitive.
Yeah.
They try hard. It seems like Dwayne Casey has them, actually doing stuff as opposed to just going out there and chucking and doing whatever they want. So in this league, I really like watching the Pistons compared to these other teams.
Okay. That's interesting. I got a team that I have my eyes on, and it's the Pacers.
Oh, yeah.
So let me tell you why. And it's a guy named Tyrese Halliburton. So when the initial trade happened that sent Halliburton to the Pacers from Sacramento, everybody, including us, was so confused. I don't get this. Now I think that we've talked about it. The Kings recovered pretty nicely from that initial move.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in the age of the internet, what happens always happens. There's a big reaction saying, this is insane. How could you move on from Halliburton? And then there's this massive swing in the other direction and people going, really? Like, Halliburton is causing all of this uproar? Like, he's good, but he's not really that good. And it feels to me like he heard that chatter and is out to prove that he is that good. So since Halliburton has joined the Pacers, he's averaging 20 points and 11 assists per game on 53, 48, and 80% shooting splits. That is unreal.
48 from three.
Yes.
Yeah.
53 overall, 80 from the line.
Oh.
Now, there's not a single person in this league right now that is averaging 50, 40, 90, right? There is a 50, 40, 90 club, but I'm sorry, Udonis Haslem, I'm not giving you the credit
Tony
for this.
Snell, 5 minutes or whatever.
Yeah. Nobody with meaningful minutes is doing it. But 53, 48, and 80 is insane.
Insane.
That is absolutely elite. Now, that's not his season-long average, but those are his Pacers numbers so far. Now, as we've talked about when we first started doing this segment, this isn't relegation and promotion isn't necessarily based off of your entire performance through the entire season. It could be a week or two of very good play that moves you up or down. With a guy playing this good, I think that there is potential for them to have a week or two where he just drags them over the line. They play very good competitive basketball. They've got a winning record over 10 games, right?
Yeah.
That he could easily knock somebody out of the T League and get them up there.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And look, the shooting, like, we got to talk about it at this point because when you look at his shot, it doesn't look pretty.
Yeah, it's not the greatest looking.
It's not. That's just the truth. And I think a lot of people, myself included, were very skeptical about his shooting.
Sure.
The track record is getting longer and bigger and more. And if anything, he's just getting more and more efficient. So I think at this point, we have to accept the guy is an elite shooter, and that changes his entire outlook, and it changes the outlook of the Pacers moving forward. If he can shoot to this level and, play make at this level,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, like the Kings look okay, as a result of the trade, but it will be a tough pill to swallow if this is the rest of Tyrese Halliburton's career.
Absolutely. All right. So no real movement this week and out of step.
Mm-hmm.
But we definitely have some teams to watch.
Keep your eye on. Yeah.
Because there's some potential moving happening here.
Yes.
Which is exciting because this is like when the season really takes off, is post All-Star break. And I think this is when everybody kind of starts to separate themselves from the pack and you figure out where everyone's at.
So true. And like a team like the Raptors, they get an injury to OG Anunoby. Hard for them to start winning games all of a sudden, right? And like these injuries pile up and all this stuff piles up. And so, yeah, these teams, it's shut up and go time.
Yeah.
It's now or never.
This is going to have me watching every single game. I'm going to be an absolute psychopath, sicko for the next few weeks.
Yeah.
Seeing where these teams land. Well, that leaves us only one place to go. It's Duo Jam time.
Love it.
I know you love it because it is with great remorse that I have to recap last week's Duo Jam.
Okay, let's do it.
So last week we had a bottom team and a top team against each other. The Pistons versus the Suns. I felt bold and I picked the Pistons. I was believing in myself. I took Cade Cunningham and Saddiq Bey. Cade Cunningham put up 64.9 fantasy points last week. Saddiq Bey put up 65 fantasy points. Had a better fantasy week. 0.1 point better
than Cade,
than Cade Cunningham.
That's saying something.
For a combined 129.9 points. Not bad.
Yeah.
You picked the Suns without Chris Paul. Devin Booker put up 98 fantasy points.
God.
He went absolutely ballistic. You did the traditional pairing. You put him with DeAndre Ayton, who had 79.9 combined for 177.9. You absolutely destroyed me, giving you a 5-2 record on the season so far. I am in the C League of Duo Jam, 2-5 on the season. Rough times for old BC over here in the Duo Jam world. But there's always another game. I'm constantly trying to dig myself out of this. So I got a fun matchup for us this week. I'm calling it the land versus air matchup. It's Hawks versus Mavs.
Ooh, always fun. Two guys traded for each other.
Exactly. Okay, so I'm picking the Mavs here. I'm going with Luka Doncic. It's not hard to figure that one out. He has been absolutely incredible. He is, like you said, part of a heliocentric system in Dallas. I'm going to be very honest. It's going to be a pretty heliocentric system here for me because the rest of the team is not very impressive in fantasy.
Yeah.
But I'm pairing him up with a guy who is kind of, looks like he's enjoying his new home, has been playing well for them lately, and that's Spencer Dinwiddie. I'm going double guards this week. So I got Luka and Dinwiddie as my duo.
Yeah, you think he and Cuban are just having a blast, like opening up Coinbase every day and checking out their crypto?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay, so that leaves you with the Atlanta Hawks.
You know I love the Hawks. Come
I know
on.
you do.
I love the Hawks. So easy first choice here. The two guys who were traded for each other. Trae Young. The guy's been on an absolute tear recently. He's kind of a heliocentric player. Not quite as much as Luka, but similar, can put up those type of big giant box scores. Went with him. So same thing, kind of had a tough time finding that next guy. I love to pair with their real duo jam, like who it would be an NBA jam, right?
I love this.
I love that. The problem is Clint Capella is still starting, but in the last game he played only 18 minutes. And then Okongwu's playing like 30 minutes off the bench. Yeah. But it's still, I can't pick either one of them because they're kind of just eating into each other's minutes. And it just doesn't feel like I can go for one of those guys. Then I look at the wings and it's like, it's just your choice of these wings because every night they can give you 2, they can give you 15. And that's what it feels like every night. So I had a really tough time choosing here. So I just went with one of my favorite players on the team. That's DeAndre Hunter. Just so versatile, amazing defender. He can give you those steals and blocks. As opposed to a guy like Herder. And he is certainly capable of putting up 15 points, a few assists, good rebounder as well for his position. So I just went with the more consistent player, I thought, and went with DeAndre Hunter.
That's fair. If I was picking for the Hawks here, like you said, first pick is very obvious, but it's not Trae Young for me. There is a guy on the Hawks who has my favorite name in the entire NBA. His name is Cat Barber.
Oh, yeah.
Cat Barber. Greatest name in the NBA.
Great name.
that's going to be in the Hall of Fame wing of just incredible names like Cherokee Parks and, guys of that ilk. Cat Barber, I hope he has a bright future in this league.
Yes.
I need to get a Cat Barber jersey.
Yeah, we are pro Cat Barber pod.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we will see where we land after this week. I mean, I'm far from getting to 500, which I thought I was going to be able to do. Hopefully, I can get my third win of the season here really off the back of Luka Doncic. I really need Luka to come through for me. Well, that is going to be today's episode. Thank you all so much for joining us. We really appreciate you watching the show. Just a quick reminder, hit subscribe to the show, whether it be on YouTube or on a podcast platform. It helps us out. It helps you out with staying up to date with everything. We will be back Friday with an all-new episode with some more fun games and segments to play. I'm going to miss you because I don't think you're going to be here for that episode. You'll be on the road.
Yeah.
So, Clayton, we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Yeah, like I said, anyone... feel free to reach out. It's going to be fun, and I will be checking in at times, so you haven't seen the last of me.
Yeah. Your face will still be around for sure. So today we're going to leave you with the song Dices by Generacion Suicida off their 2013 Con la Muerta tu lado LP.
Okay, this is a banger.
On Going Underground Records.
This is a banger. This is one of my favorite bands.
Oh, yeah. And they're one of the best bands in Los Angeles, one of the best bands out. And this song is so catchy. It makes me so happy. I hope it brings some of that joy to you all. We will see you in a few days. Thank you so much.
Thank you.